The Usana region is massive, and because of that, there's a lot of new Pokemon that can be found there. I'm a big fan of when Pokemon have an in-game dex interaction like Zangoose and Seviper, or how Tinkaton attacked Corviknight for hammer parts. I wanted to take that concept a step further in the Usana region by having a trio of interactive Pokemon. So today's Pokemon have a cops and robbers theme, but with an added Patsy flair. Speaking of, this is Oh Patsy, the Patsy Pokemon. Now, if you've been with my channel for a while now, you already know this little guy from my original release of the Usana region. But the original design was just not Pokemon enough for me. And I've improved so much in just the last year that a redraw was definitely necessary. Opatsy has probably changed the most of the Opatsy line, and I like this design a lot more. The new expression looks so thoughtless and sleepy, which is exactly what I wanted. It just wouldn't make sense that a cute, innocent Pokemon like Opatsy would be unaware of the thief accusations if it was wide awake and alert. But poor Opatsy find themselves often in the wrong place at the wrong time, and their tendency to pick things up that they find lying around doesn't help. Especially since another Usanan Pokemon is known to dash away so quickly with its stolen goods that it often drops things as it flees. Opatsy is inspired by the North American opossum, which is the adaptation of playing dead. When startled, an opossum will act dead so convincingly, in fact, that it has led to multiple incidents of people getting bitten due to trying to move the body. Though these instances are definitely avoidable and not the real reason that the opossum has a bad reputation. Speaking of, this is Bandicoot, the bandit Pokemon. Another Fakemon from the original debut of the Usana region that was in some desperate need of a redesign. Like Opatsy, it was too cute and a bit cartoonish. But I'm really glad I revisited this design because not only is the new pose so much more active and alive, but it also inspired a new typing for the evolution. Bandicoot like to sneak and steal things wherever they go. Their tail puffs up when caught, allowing them to bounce high and far as a speedy getaway. So Bandicoot is clearly going to fill the robbers portion of our trio, stealing things and dropping them as they make their escape. I think this design does a much better job of showing how active and mischievous this Pokemon is. But of course, I want to know what you guys think of the redesigns so far. Do you love them? Hate them? Kinda meh? Just pop down in the comments below and let me know. Raccoons in America are notorious for getting into trash and carrying dangerous diseases such as rabies. They often share the same habitats as opossums, and so opossums have gotten a bad name because of this. Raccoons at least have a cute nickname like trash pandas, whereas opossums are generally regarded as ugly and dirty. Now, of course, this wouldn't be a trio without our third early root Pokemon in today's video. We have the robber and the fall guy, so all that's left is the detective. This is Suspup, the dog detective Pokemon. The first truly new addition to the Usana region, and my first ever regional dog Pokemon, which is one of the things that was missing from my original debut of the Usana region. Each region introduced a new iconic dog, and so Usana had to have one as well. And I thought, what better to pull my Midwest dog inspiration from than beagles and hound dogs, and of course, detectives. Usana is full of TV and movie references, so of course it made sense to call back to the classic noir-style detective. Albeit Suspup definitely leans more towards Sherlock Holmes, being one of the most iconic detective characters. Of course I had to find a way to give a nod back to one of my personal favorite detectives. Suspup's ears resemble Sherlock's iconic hat and has a spyglass-like pattern around one eye. Sometimes found ears up or ears down, Suspup is always hot on the trail of misbehaving Pokemon. I could totally see Usana's Officer Jenny having Suspup's evolution, and I think it was the perfect addition to the Usana region. Suspup know that Bandicoot are always up to no good, and use their keen sense of smell and quick wit to try and catch them in the act. Sometimes they can get a little distracted, and the trail goes cold. I hope you guys like Suspup as much as I do. I don't normally draw dogs, but I'm so happy with how this turned out. Now that we've met the base stages of our Usanan trio, it's time to see their evolution, starting with the Opatsy line, of course. This is Awesome, the Enlightened Pokemon. Opatsy evolve into Awesome at level 24 on rural routes. I've talked a bit about this in the past, but Usana has rural and urban routes, and certain Pokemon in the region have evolutions specific to those environments, or can only be encountered on one or the other. The Opatsy line is the first time you'll get to see this in action. Awesome are able to achieve a state of total enlightenment through the peace and meditation Opatsy found in the countryside. With no bustling highways and noisy Pokemon to bother it, and no crimes to be pinned on it, Omasum was able to slip into a state of permanent meditation. Now able to tap into psychic abilities, Omasum no longer needs to open its eyes at all to interact with the world around it. This is of course in reference to the wilderness being a safer place for wildlife than cities. Opossums are generally peaceful when left alone, and allowed to live their lives uninterrupted. Humans have quickly become a hazard to opossums. From pest removal to roads, it's become quite the obstacle for opossums in urban areas to thrive. Which brings me to Opatzi's split evolution, inspired by urban environments. This is Obnoxum, the obnoxious Pokemon. Opatzi will evolve into Obnoxum at level 24 on urban routes. As I've already talked a bit about, it's a fact that urban environments are quite dangerous to opossums, which is why Obnoxum is ghost type. Constantly in the wrong place at the wrong time, Obnoxum are the inevitable evolution of an urbanized Opatzi. They are quite annoying and like to play pranks. Their favorite prank is to pretend faint in order to give a good scare to Pokemon and trainers alike when it jumps back up. Not all Pokemon and animals are negatively affected by urbanization, but in this case it's quite clear. It's important to acknowledge our impact on the natural world around us, a theme that plays a big part in the Usana region. The opossum is one animal that is negatively impacted for sure, which is why I had to give Opatzi this split evolution. This design probably changed the least of the designs in this video, and that's because I already really liked the original design. Even though I may have improved my skills, it's nice to have designs like Obnoxum that can still hold up. So I didn't change much, and I'm glad I didn't. It's still an improvement, even if it's not that different. Now that I've shown off the evolutions for our Patsy, let's check out the new and improved evolution for Bandicoot. This is Tanukine, and yes, it's in part inspired by Tanuki, which is a Japanese raccoon dog. It just felt like the natural evolution for Pokemon. Not only has the design changed significantly, but now Tanukine is part flying type. The idea being that Tanukine puff up their tail and bounce high into the sky to escape. I know bouncing isn't technically the same as flying, but with an entire flying line based off the terms hop, skip, and jump, I figured it would be okay to give Tanukine an interesting type combo and make it dark flying type. I can't deny the idea of a large raccoon-like Pokemon flying over rooftops dropping their ill-begotten goods is kinda fantastic. I wanted the Usana region to use real-life concepts and give them a more whimsical element, and I think Tanukine is a great example of that. Though a raccoon may not be the most magical-looking creature, you have to admit being born with a built-in mask and tiny hands makes the raccoon kinda fantastic. I think its representation in pop culture has made people come to adore these mischievous little miscreants. Often a thief or sly character in children's movies, the raccoon was the perfect inspiration for our bandit, and I think these designs do a great job of representing that. I mean, when you're born with a built-in mask pattern, you're gonna get typecast as a thief. Tanukine can't help but take things that aren't theirs. If something catches their eye, you better believe they're gonna snag it. Now that you've seen the evolutions for our Patsy and our bandit, let's check out the final evolution of our detective. This is Mudspect. Mudspect pulls its inspiration heavily from classic noir-style detectives. With long fur that resembles a trench coat, fedora-like fur on the top of its head, the spyglass pattern around the eye, and that pose, this design is full of detective energy. I'm such a huge fan of mysteries, and I've seen my fair share of detective movies and shows. There's just such a sense of style and flair that comes with the noir detective genre, and I feel like Mudspect has the same level of flair. I'm especially proud of how I worked the fedora into this design as the top of Mudspect's head. You may be wondering why I went with red for the shiny, and well, because of Carmen Sandiego, of course. Though I don't know everything about the books or the show, or even if there's more than one, I did enjoy watching the occasional episode when it came on. And I can't deny how similarly she dresses to a classic detective. So when I was designing Suspup and Mudspect, I knew red shinies was the way to go. Once Mudspect is on the case, there's little chance the perp will get away. They have dedicated their life to solving mysteries and catching Pokemon and trainers alike in the act. I'm really glad I took the time to reboot the Usana region and got inspired to add Mudspect and make this iconic trio. Not only was it totally the missing piece to the puzzle, but I think it's a pretty unique take on the regional dog Pokemon, and it fits perfectly in a Midwest-inspired region. With each new Usana video, I'm more sure that the reboot was a good idea, and even though it's going to be a lot of work, it's totally worth it. I guess now is a good enough time to wrap things up. Thank you for taking time to watch my video, and if you like the Usana region and want to stay up to date on new videos, make sure you're subscribed. Don't forget to hit that like button to let me know you liked it. There might be a big pause before the next Usana video because I have a lot of projects in the works right now, and I want to get ahead on the rest of the region so I'm not inclined to keep rebooting it. Thank you for your patience as always. Until next time.